Hi everyone, happy Sunday and happy spring. My name is Camelia Malkami and I'm an M1 here at the Medical College of Georgia and I will be presenting this week's COVID-19 update. Looking at the trends in the COVID-19 data, we see that both COVID cases and deaths in Georgia are declining, as seen in the graphs on the top right of this screen. In the bottom right graph, we see trends in US new cases and have also included trends in new cases for the UK, Brazil, and South Africa, where new COVID variants have emerged. We see that cases in the US, UK, and South Africa are declining, while Brazil has seen an uptick in cases. Looking at the data on the left-hand side, we see that the US has surpassed 29 million total cases and 542,000 deaths. However, over 124 million vaccines have been administered in the US alone, including over 3 million in Georgia. In the news this week, protests and vigils were held across the country calling for an end to violence against Asian Americans after a shooting at 3 local day spas in Atlanta left 8 people dead, 6 of them Asian women. Georgia Senators Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff led demonstrators gathered outside the Georgia State Capitol in Atlanta in a moment of silence for the victims on Saturday. The mass shooting comes amidst mounting anti-Asian violence in the United States in the last year since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. President Biden met with Asian American leaders in Atlanta on Friday and urged Congress to pass the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act. The legislation would expedite Justice Department reviews of race-related crimes linked to COVID-19. President Biden also called on the Senate to reauthorize the Violence Against Women Act. In other news, Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelber declared a state of emergency on Saturday evening and set an 8 p.m. curfew for the city after several days of overwhelming crowds and violence in the city at the peak of the spring break season. The curfew will be in place for at least 72 hours and also creates a high impact zone, which is the area deemed most affected by the crowding and brawling, within which several roads will be closed overnight. The situation in Miami comes as a new, more contagious and more fatal variant of COVID-19, the B.1.1.7 strain, first detected in the UK, is emerging across Florida. According to the New York Times, Florida may have the densest share of the new B.1.1.7 strain, with about 30% of the state's cases being caused by that strain. We also saw the beginning of March Madness, or the NCAA Men's Division I basketball tournament. While this single elimination tournament is held every spring, this year things look a little different because of the COVID pandemic. The entire tournament will be held in Indianapolis, Indiana, with extensive health protocols that the NCAA has set to create a controlled environment, which includes 7 consecutive days of negative COVID tests before the teams even head to the city. The teams are staying in 4 hotels, with each player having their own room and each team having their own floor. There are 5 competition venues and 12 practice courts in the Indianapolis Convention Center. There will be no team meals, as rules prohibit players from eating anywhere outside their hotel room. There is even a carefully coordinated schedule for travel between the hotel rooms and the courts, with itineraries for riding the elevator and walking through the skywalks that connect the hotels to the convention center. Still, even with all these restrictions, one team, Virginia Commonwealth, has already been forced to forfeit its first-round game due to a COVID-19 outbreak on its roster. Now for some good news. We are happy to report that in the US alone, 41.8% of people aged 65 and older have been fully vaccinated against coronavirus. Furthermore, over 43,000 people have been vaccinated through AU Health as of March 17th. Thank you to everyone who has helped with these vaccine distribution efforts. These are my references, and I hope everyone has a great week. Thanks.